Well, we want to continue the third part of our three-part series, which correlates baseball, the Stubhub ticket brokering world, and benefits for your employees as it relates to healthcare and such. Tom Mastny's with us. How are you, sir?
I'm good, Neil. How are you?
Excellent. Well, I really like what you shared about baseball in part one, and effort, strategy, and patience, and learning, and education and coaching, and then Stubhub with technology and transparency on what things should cost and decisions employers have to make. You say there are four benefit strategies businesses keep trying to work on to contain spending. Why don't we start with the first one, fully insured contracts. What does that mean?
Yeah, so you know what the definition of insanity is, correct?
You do the same thing over and over and you expect different results.
Right. Well, unfortunately, that's where our world is. We are in a reactive community in employee benefits, and something has to change. So fully insured contracts is the world that we live in, and that is where we've been for the last 20 plus years. Augusta and the CSRA in general is a small market. So small markets are really employers that are under 500 from an employee count. Augusta is a step further down than that. I'd say our average size employer is probably in the 40s to 50s. Mm-hmm. Up until the last couple of years, we really haven't had access to certain contracts and different funding mechanisms. And we live in a fully insured world. So fully insured contracts is a strategy, believe it or not. It has been our only option, but it's a strategy that we keep doing over and over. The problem with fully insured contracts is there is zero visibility into data, so I don't know what our claims are, and there's zero control. So I can't make any adjustments to plan design to really benefit my company as a whole, and I don't know what's driving my costs. So we get our renewal, 75 days out if we're lucky. 60 days out is standard. That's what the insurance companies have to give us. It's 45 days if you're in South Carolina. Mm-hmm. So right there, they're putting our backs against the wall and saying, hey, we need a decision right now. By the way, you're getting a 20% rate increase.
Wow.
And we say, why? And they say, well, wouldn't you like to know? Right?
It just costs more, but we don't know what costs more.
Take our word for it. Trust, they say you overspent. Okay, well, tell us why. That's the biggest key, right? Why? And that's until you know why, you can't make an educated decision. We're living in a reactive world when we're in a fully insured contract. Fully insured contracts may be the right funding mechanism for you at the time, but it's not your only option.
Okay. How about industry best practices? How does that play into all this?
Yep. So industry best practices, kind of a general term, right? So when I say industry best practices, it's not consultant best practices. It is, at the end of the day, it's industry. So it's health insurance companies coming to us with ideas of how to drive down our costs. Well, again, if we don't have the data and we don't know what's truly driving the costs, and we're taking the fully insured carrier's word for it, well, their best interests may not align with our best interests. And we're putting most of those solutions are Teladoc, wellness, but they're owned by the insurance company themselves. So we have no ROI on really what those programs are doing for us. We're just seeing renewals go up and up and up. And we're taking the insurance company's word that what we're doing is helping. At this point, I don't want to just take their word. I want to see the data. I want the transparency. I want to put the right products in for our clients when they need them.
We're continuing to chat with Tom Mastny, who's the CEO of the Pennant Group, a employee benefits company based in West Augusta and online at thepennantgroup.com. You believe we've been overpaying for activity over outcomes. What does that mean?
Yeah. So like I said earlier, we are in a reactive world when it comes to employee benefits, especially if we're in a fully insured contract. Even if we're level funded or partially self-funded, but it's owned by the insurance company themselves, our data is very limited. We get hit with a rate increase. If you get a rate pass, which means no renewal, no rate increase, you're very lucky. But on average, we're seeing 8 to 10 to 20 to 50% rate increases year over year for no reason. And our only solution is to decrease those costs is to increase copays, increase deductibles, increase max out of pocket. So we're basically just cost shifting. We're taking money from one pocket and moving it to the other pocket.
And pushing it to the employee.
We're putting more onus on the employee. And at the end of the day, and reality is most employees and most people in America are living paycheck to paycheck. And when maybe their cost of insurance didn't go up or it went up slightly, but their out-of-pocket expenses when they go to the physician is now increasing, we're still hurting them. And our ultimate goal is to put our employers in a position where they can truly help employees by offering a benefit where they may get an increase, but it's a justified increase. And then we're putting in a cost containment strategy and cost containment solution that's right for that company that will really help slow down the increase or even get their trend to level off and get better desired outcomes for those employees.
It seems kind of like a passive way to manage your health care.
Yeah, and we are in a passive world, and the forced strategy is how do we get from a passively managed product where we are to an actively managed product. So my firm is looking at benefits with an active management approach. It's sitting down and having a 3 to 5 year plan and making sure we're putting in the right products that are right for you, not what's right for everybody else, but what's right for you so you can see the ROI on your investment or, reach the desired outcome that's best for you. I talked earlier in the series about small, incremental, manageable, meaningful outcomes. And if we're actively managing a plan, we're putting in those procedures. We may go down a path because we think it's the right path because the data at the time dictates and says that we should go down this path. But if we're actively managing it and we find out that this is not where we need to go, then we can turn that ship and go down another path. But if we don't have that data and we're not looking at it regularly or we're not actively managing it with our clients, then we're going to get to the end of that path and realize that we made a huge mistake and now we've got to backtrack a lot more.
Where do you find the cost savings that you're able to share with folks who maybe have been, as we said at the beginning, doing things the same way over and over, year after year, and expecting different results?
It's different for each group, but the biggest cost driver that we've found, and it's not for every group, but I would say the majority of the groups, is the pharmaceutical side.
Okay.
So the cost of prescriptions keep going up and up and up. And they are not, there's no regulation that dictates competition. So at the end of the day, we realize competition in life is a good thing. Competition for businesses is a good thing. It holds people accountable, and it controls costs. On the pharmacy side, there's been a very loose set of regulations put in place, and hands have been tied in order to make changes. And I hate to say it, but it goes back all the way up to Washington and lobbying groups and big pharma and who's really dictating the price. There's prescriptions that range, if you see a drug on TV, that TV drug is how I call it, costs a lot of money. On average, it's $800 to $24,000 a month for that prescription. We don't see that data in a fully insured contract. We don't know if that employee, and due to HIPAA regulations, I can't be told, hey, who's driving up my costs? You know, they can just say, there's something in there, but I don't know. When we get away from that and get into a self-funded world, which sounds scary, but it's really not. There's safe gaps in place and guardrails per se to keep you on track. When you get data, then you can make educated, informed decisions. But the prescription side of things is really what's driving the costs, and that's really where you can do a lot of work and help for your employers.
Well, if you'd like to take a look at maybe making a transition to a different way of handling your benefit costs, you might want to go to Tom's website. It is thepennantgroup.com, thepennantgroup.com, and I really love a lot of information. A lot of it correlates to sports and baseball and being part of a team and cost sharing and all of that. So I would definitely urge you to take a look. And then what would be the next step after that? Would they sit down?
Yeah, to me, it's about having an open, honest, transparent conversation. Obviously, we would love at the Pennant Group to have you as a client, but we're realists. We're not going to be the right fit for every single employer group. But we would just love an opportunity to help educate. I really think at the end of the day, education is key. Until you know what's driving your costs or how our industry works, we're always going to be in a reactive situation, and it's tough to make proactive, goal-driven, forward-thinking decisions without taking an active role and rolling up your sleeves and looking at your benefits.
Yeah, and the worst feeling in the world as a business owner is to think you're getting taken advantage of. Yeah. That's terrible. So maybe just get started with Tom with a chat, or again, thepennantgroup.com. Tom, thank you so much for looking at things a little bit differently. It's time to shake things up.
Always a pleasure.
Okay.
I appreciate it.
Thank you, Tom.